Hey, what's up, guys? I hope you guys are doing well. I'm in Atlanta with Alicia, and we are actually doing some searching for some property. Actually, while we're here, we took a look at a few places, and we liked what we saw. And we also went to an event at the Black House, hosted by Jay Morrison and his wonderful wife Ernestine, and that was really cool. And we had a really good time. And so, we're really intrigued by the Atlanta real estate market and also just all the good stuff happening in Atlanta. In addition to all the ratchetry, the craziness going on with Atlanta, there's also a lot of good stuff. Now, somebody said, "Did I see Ethereum?" No. What happened, Bryce? Did Ethereum go up? Oh, I see you got a rocket ship right there. I hope Ethereum went up because I own a lot of Ethereum. Yes. If you own Ethereum, if you own crypto, raise your hand. Everybody who owns crypto, raise your hand. Hey, what's up, Research Everything and Michael Starworth and Bryce Jefferson? You know what? I'm only on here for a couple of minutes. I really literally had nothing. Oh, Ether's kicking ass. Okay, well, I'm gonna check it out. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for telling me I'm making money today. Bright spot now. I appreciate your work, but well, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Yeah, so we spent time here with the family in ATL, and it was like family time. So I got friends here, and I don't want my friends to be offended that I wasn't hanging out with my friends, but sometimes you got to spend time with your children and stuff like that. And I went to this thing called Greenlit Atlanta, or is that Greenlit ATL? That's what it's Greenlit ATL, hosted by Jay and Ernestine at the Black House, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. How do you buy Ethereum? You can go to Coinbase or something like that. What do you think about the political situation in Haiti? I have not followed Haiti closely lately, but I mean the general ideas. I think some's corrupt in Haiti, and I think it needs to be dealt with for sure. How can I get with the Black Business School? Well, if you go to the blackbusinessschool.com, there are people right there at the Black Business School that can work with you right now. There's a URL. So you can go there for free. Just go to the blackbusinessschool.com and you can actually talk to one of the specialists that's on the line. So they're right there waiting to talk to you. Let's see here. Geneva says, Bitch Watkins needs to shut the fuck up. No, dude, you shut the fuck up, man. You need to shut the fuck up. Shout out to Geneva Jackson, living in your mama's basement, trolling people on the internet. That's all right. We're glad you're here. Shirley Dumas, why would you want to move to Georgia where they are trying to disenfranchise African Americans? Because I've never known a black person who had their money right who felt oppressed. I just don't. I think that the key is wealth and investing. The people in Atlanta, man, they ain't thinking of. I mean, I'm not saying that they aren't concerned about what's happening politically. I'm not going to say it's not a big deal, but I think that they've been lying to you when they made you think that politics was the solution for black people. White politics ain't never solved a black problem ever. Don't get me wrong; it doesn't mean that it can't help, but literally, white folks ain't the ones who got you guys to where you are right now. Right now you have this black economic revolution that is killing the game. I mean, we don't have just like one Marcus Garvey in this generation. We have like about 500,000 Marcus Garveys. We have tens of thousands of brothers and sisters out here that really are embracing investing in wealth and everything else. That's what's going to change the game. The Democratic Party didn't do this. The Republicans did not do this, and that's not the solution. Powernomics actually, he does a study in Powernomics where he actually compares the number of black elected officials in like the 1960s and compares it to the number in the 1990s. You went from like 105 or something to like 8,000 black elected officials or something, some crazy number. And literally, there was no improvement in black quality of life. So, if you want to know my philosophy is you got to stop waiting on these damn politicians. Stop waiting on the Democrats. Stop waiting on the Republicans. Stop thinking that voting is going to solve everything. No, voting will keep the Democrats in power, which fine. If that's what you believe in, then that's fine. But they don't use that power to really do much for black folks. They won't even acknowledge reparations. What good are you if you took $15 trillion out of the black community and we vote you into office and your ass won't even pay it back? Why am I sitting around thinking that you're going to save my life? Why do I think you care about me? What's wrong with you when you think that these people who have hated you since the beginning of time have ever given a damn about you? Did my point get across? I don't know. Don't know. Let me calm down. Woosah. So I think the point that Boyce is trying to make, I'm talking about myself in the third person here because I need to step out of my body right now, is that if you get your situation right, if you take care of your family and you educate yourself and you make good decisions, and you build your wealth, you're gonna usually be okay in America. It doesn't mean that racism isn't out there. Of course it is. Everybody's racist. Everybody hates everybody else. Well, racially biased. Every group is racially biased. You know, white people don't like us. Like, I don't know what made you think that they did. They don't. But do we really like them that much? Not really, not particularly. Like, do we? I mean, doesn't mean we hate them. Like, I don't think you walk down the street thinking, okay, let me find a white guy, let me beat him up. You don't do that. But if somebody was like, well, we need you to care more about the white community so that more white people can get jobs, or we need you to, get up every morning and try to figure out how Asians can have more opportunities. You'd be like, why is it my job to figure out how to make sure Asians can feed their kids? Like, that's not my job. Well, so I really personally think that a lot of what we define as racism, even though I guess it could be racism, is really just people taking care of their own. Like, they always gonna take care of their own before they take care of you. What makes you think? What world did you grow up in that made you falsely believe that another man is going to take care of you before he takes care of his own children and his own community and his own family? If you grew up thinking that another man in another community is going to take care of you in your community before he takes care of his own, then you are out of your damn mind. You have a mental illness. That is a mental illness for you to really think that somebody else in another community is going to take care of you before they take care of their own. No, I'm sorry. I take care of my family before I take care of anybody else. And I really think that that lack of competitiveness, you got that from slavery. They trained you for that, since birth, to have this false hope and false belief that these white folks are gonna come along and save you, and that just ain't gonna happen. So I'm a believer we can save ourselves. I'm a big believer in do for self. Doesn't mean that you can't participate in politics and all that. That's fine, but I'm not really gonna spend as much time being riled up about a change in voter ID laws. I mean, I might just say, okay, everybody get your ID. Let's go get an ID. We can get white people can get IDs. We can get IDs too. I'd rather focus on the bigger problems. The fact that a lot of our kids can't read, the fact that a lot of our people may not want to save whatever money they have or invest that money that they have. I see a lot of people taking the good money, making 50, 60, $80,000 a year and wasting that money. Don't want to buy property, don't want to invest in stock, don't want to do anything productive. I take more issue with children that don't have a father. I think that fatherhood is something that you can do even if your economic condition is not what you want it to be. So I'm a big believer that you control what you can control. I don't believe I can control white folks. I don't believe I can get white people to suddenly love black people. I'd rather try to see if I can get black people to love ourselves. I think that's a good place to start. So anyway, I say get off the grid and get back on and get back to our own. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. How do I take profit when my options premiums go up since I already received premiums from the option? Well, then if you bought the option, then you could just sell the option. But if you sold the option, you have to buy it back. So if the premiums go up and you sold, then I mean you just have to buy it back to close out the position. Every buy has to be balanced with a sale. Every sale balanced with a buy. Yes, we need to take care of one another. I like how your delivery is direct and to the point. Yeah, there's no point in beating around the bush, and I really think it's very sad that the brainwashing is so deep that you really have black people sitting around here really thinking that some white Democrat is going to come along and save the community when there's never any evidence in the history of this country that's ever happened before. They really got somebody else, just backward. It's kind of crazy. Do you think Kitten Heels is gay? I have no idea who Kitten Heels is. Demori, second step is economics, not politics. Absolutely. If you read Powernomics, which is at powernomics.com, that's Dr. Claude Anderson's books, he talks about a 5-story building of black power, black empowerment. And the building, the base of the building is economics. So you have to have the base before you have to build the first floor before you build the second floor. So the base is economics. He said, if you don't have your economics right, you can't do politics. So when they got you voting, but not building businesses and building wealth first, then your vote doesn't count because the politicians work for the wealthy people. They work for the people that put money behind their campaigns. They don't work for people who voted for them. They work for people who paid the money for them to advertise, which allowed them to buy the voters. They know the voters are sheep. The voters are going to vote for whoever has the most advertising. So their goal is not to get the votes. Their goal is to get the money. The money will get them the votes. So there's economics. Then there is I think I can't remember all of it. I'm a little bit tired, but I think you go into like politics and education and media. I know that those are four of them, and I think there might be one more. But those are kind of the steps to like empowering a community. China and Nike disagreements is affecting Nike stock. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. China is an emerging, not even an emerging superpower anymore. They are a superpower, and they're very, strategic and very sneaky about how they do everything. They really don't. They kind of just, they play powernomics really well, and some would say that they're almost deceptive in nature in terms of how they, would just how they just run in circles around the United States. So China is an authoritarian government. They don't believe in democracy, and actually, if you look historically, democracy hasn't always been the chosen political system in every society. Socrates, I think it was Socrates or Aristotle, one of the two, one of those Greek guys that stole all his ideas from Africa, said that he didn't like democracy because he said, why would you just let people who are uninformed vote on the direction of the country, right? Because they can vote crappy leaders in, they can vote in people like Donald Trump, who then go out and destroy the country. So there are some people who would say that you should be intelligent at a certain level or have a certain level of education before you're even allowed to vote. It comes off as elitist, but there is a practicality to that idea. So check this out. That guy, I think, let's say it was, Plato, Aristotle, whoever the hell it was, that didn't like democracy. Well, check this out. So somebody wanted to get rid of him, so they brought him up on trumped up charges. And so when he was brought up on the charges, they did a democratic vote on whether he was guilty or innocent. He lost by a hair thin margin, and that's how he got killed. So he literally died from democracy, which is kind of a ironic way to go down. Was it Socrates? Okay, thank you, Kevin. Thank you for educating me. I'm not an expert on any of that. Bryce, what would happen if the U.S. defaults on its debt in the next 20 to 50 years? It would be a very big deal. The United States would lose a tremendous amount of its economic power. The value of the dollar would start to plummet because the dollar would probably lose its position as the world's currency. A lot of financial models would go haywire because one of the most fundamental assumptions of these models that I learned in graduate school involving money and asset pricing was this. One of the most fundamental assumptions was that the U.S. government debt was risk-free, that short-term U.S. government debt, T-bills, are a risk-free asset. Well, if they default, then obviously it's not risk-free, which changes a lot of the assumptions of these models. It changes the whole economic system. Let's see here. Once we conquer those 5 steps, we can truly say Black Power. Absolutely. I think that one interesting thing about Black Power, Demori, is that Black Power, we use the word power, and we use 2 words that you should have a license to use. 2 words most of us aren't even qualified to use it. Those 2 words are power and freedom. We talk about power and freedom, and I think even Malcolm said the ultimate price of freedom is death. And if you're not willing to pay the price, then don't even put that word in your vocabulary, because there's been no society that's been free, no group of people that's ever been free that didn't have people willing to die to protect that. But even deeper than that, a lot of us shouldn't even use the words freedom and power, because I don't even think we understand what freedom and power are. The more I started thinking about what power really means, and power and freedom are deeply connected. Freedom to me is when you have enough power to protect your own right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? You have to have power to get freedom. But now power can be bigger than freedom, though. Power means you don't just have freedom to move and operate freely, but you actually have the ability to take away the freedom of other people, right? And I don't believe in that. I don't believe in oppressing anybody. But I will say that a lot of us, don't even understand what freedom and power look like, because we don't understand the cage of white supremacy. We don't understand that they've been preparing you for slavery since you were born. I mentioned to you guys a lot that they won't give you reparations for slavery, but they'll give you preparations for slavery. So they prepare you for your cage when you're born by sending you to a white school. First of course, after they inject you with, whatever vaccinations, whatever the white people come up with to put into your body, doing only God knows what. Then you're living in some neighborhood that maybe your family's been forced to live in because of redlining and historical theft of black wealth. And then you send your child to a white-owned school that's in some crappy neighborhood, and you're stuck with that school because that's the only school that your child can go to. And then on top of that, while they're at school, your child is learning to worship people like George Washington and Abraham Lincoln and stuff like that. And then you're being bombarded with media, self-destructive media, harmful media that is teaching your children to be little, teaching your girls to become little hoes like Cardi B, or teaching your boys to become little gangsters and thugs and killers and womanizers and irresponsible. And you're looking up to ignorant people, like they will literally mass market a rapper who can barely spell his mama's name. And then what happens is your smarter children start to act like the dumber children because they want to fit in. So your geniuses start to deliberately sabotage their own potential. They start to deliberately what they call self mutilate. It's almost like self a type of self mutilation where they will, the straight A kid will start to act like the straight F kid because he wants to fit in. So he stops wanting to be a scientist and wants to become a rapper, a basketball player, or a thug. So girls will like him. And then after that, you go to college and you go deep in debt to a big white university. So much debt that you can never repay it, which requires you to then go work for a white person at some company and pay rent to a white man to have a place to live in his apartment because you can't get a house. And then you live in ignorance because you were never taught to invest in the stock market. And also you are always an employee. So you're building businesses for white people. So you're prepared for slavery at an early age. And a lot of people talk about freedom, but then they'll be trying to pursue freedom within the context of a system that is designed to do a very opposite of that. Like you're literally trying to compete with white supremacy by getting validation from white supremacy. Like that doesn't make any sense. Like the way I'm gonna fight white supremacy is I'm gonna, get the company I work for to give me a promotion, to make me important in this company, and to acknowledge me with awards, created by white people to tell me that I'm a special person. And then when I get on TV, because where some white media outlet has decided to put me on TV, and then I'm getting a paycheck at a company that's run by people who don't look like me, I'll somehow be empowered. Well, really, you're not actually empowered. You're actually you're more deeply embedded in the game. Like you're more deeply addicted to the system, because if they take away that paycheck, if they take away your accolades and validation, you see it happen all the time. You see, famous, successful black people literally get violated in broad daylight in front of you, bent over in front of the world, and butt pounded like nobody's business, like Nick Cannon. Because Nick Cannon, unfortunately, and people like him, whether you're talking about a guy who's on TV or the guy who works for the corporation or the woman who's a senior manager at Walmart, basically they're deeply embedded into white supremacy. So you thought you were headed down the path of freedom when really you were just sort of more deeply connecting yourself to the very system that you claim to be fighting against. You cannot really fight a system if you are a piece of that system. Like you can't fight a system if you are addicted to validation from that system. That's like saying, I'm going to fight my crack addiction by spending more time with the drug dealer and becoming the drug dealer's best friend so he'll give me more crack. If he gives me all the crack that I need, then I will fight my crack addiction. But that doesn't make any sense. You're just going to be a bigger crackhead. You'll just be a crackhead who has a large supply of crack, right? That's a happy crackhead, right? Seriously, think about it. If you own crack, why wouldn't you want to just get more crack? Right. The hard job is to actually do the opposite of what feels good, which is to walk away from the crack, to not even talk to the dope dealer no more. Right. But white supremacy is the dope dealer. They are your mama and your daddy. That's a nigga in the alley. And basically, what they do is they give you what you need. They're your friend to the end. I'm your pusher. Right. So you get addicted to the crack of white supremacy. You get addicted to the money. You get addicted to the validation. You get addicted to all these acknowledgments that make you feel like you're a better person. And then as a result of that, the whole time you claim that you think that you're fighting white supremacy. I'm gonna fight white supremacy, but you're not fighting white supremacy. You're supporting it. You are a white supremacist. White supremacists are not just proud boys wearing MAGA hats. White supremacists are not just Klansmen wearing white robes or Republicans at the CPAC convention. No, maybe sure, okay, if you want to call them white supremacists, I don't care. But white supremacists live in your house. There are white supremacists in this stream right now. Like seriously, all of us or trained to be white supremacists. I'm a reformed white supremacist. I'm trying not to be a white supremacist. It's such a complex trap, and and the fact that it took me so long to figure it out helps me understand why um most of us won't ever figure it out, because it took me this long to figure it out, and I'm 49 years old with a PhD. Like, I was a straight A student my whole life. I was in graduate school till I was 31 years old. So I'm not a stupid man, and it took me that long to figure it out. I don't think the average person is gonna get it. I just don't. So I personally think, if you want my confessional, if you want my truth on all of this, I would just say to you that that a lot of people talk about freedom and power and don't even know what freedom and power actually are. Freedom is the ability to do what you want to do when you want to do it, right? So freedom doesn't mean getting validated by white supremacy. Freedom means walking away from it as much as you possibly can. So you start with maybe basic freedom, like, okay, I'm not going to go work for that man's company. I'm going to go build businesses in my own community, build independent wealth in my community. That's a good step toward freedom. And then once you have enough freedom, it Taylor, come shut the door. Sorry, got kids. Once you build enough freedom, then your freedom can convert into power, and that power actually protects your freedom, right? So it doesn't mean you necessarily have to go take freedom away from other people, although you probably could if you wanted to. It at least means you have the power to protect the freedom that you value, right? So if you want power, it starts with education. It goes to economics, and it goes to expectations. This is actually what I call the 5E philosophy of Black empowerment. You ready? This is gonna be my point I want to leave you guys with today. It's the 5E philosophy. Economics plus education plus expectations equals empowerment. Economics plus education plus expectations equals empowerment. And that's when you are truly empowered, when you are economically strong, when you're very well educated, where you have true knowledge, and you set high expectations for yourself. You don't set that little tiny, you're not a tiny minded Negro. You have big goals, big dreams, big work ethic. You go hard. A lot of you fit that category. So you're on your way, in my view, to having empowerment. You're not going to wake up, every day thinking, oh my God, life is so hard being a Black man. Or, every Black man ain't like that. I know a lot of Black men who are living good. I'm in Atlanta and I'm down here. Our families came together. There's like 10 of us in this house. And my friend Chris, my homeboy Chris, and his wife, his wonderful wife, and their children all came with us. And me and Chris don't sit around we don't be sitting around singing the Black man blues. Like, oh, it's so hard to be a Black man. It's hard for brothers out here. No, no, no. Don't get me wrong. We got complaints about our experiences with the other man, and both of us figured out, like, man, I can't work for that man. We can't. We ain't working for. We gonna work with ourselves, and we build our family empires, and we have family business meetings. As our couples, we get together and we talk about our family businesses, and we know we have each other's back. You understand? Like, that's what you do. You get around some other people that you can trust, that can have your back, you have their back, and then you got a strong community. You're raising your kids right, you're protecting your families, and you're living the life that God intended for you to live. Okay, so don't get caught up in the nonsense. So let's see here. So I'm looking at some of the questions. There's a lot of stuff in here. Wow, that's a lot of. Ooh, Damien, that's a long statement you made. Damien's got a lot to say. All right, so anyway, I'm about to get out of here. So um, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, and follow me on Twitter if you want to. Please follow me on Twitter, and that's my Instagram, the Real Boyce Watkins. So it's right there on the screen. So feel free to follow me on Instagram or Twitter. I'm about to go take a nap, so it was fun, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Peace.